Assalamu alaikum, bismillah. Okay, just hopefully very brief talk, inshallah. Well, I want to talk about how Muslims miss the mark, okay, when it comes to what you do for Allah, okay? Now, I've talked about in so many sessions, all right, explaining that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, despite everything that Muslims do, salah, siyam, hajj, etc., making dua, Allah has taken everything away from Muslims all over the world, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent destruction on 26 Muslim countries. Okay? I've talked about how even your expense and effort and everything you've put into fighting Islamophobia has not worked. You do not have the help of Allah. Okay, the conditions are not getting better, they're getting worse. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought fascism into the world, coming for you. And Allah has brought fascism now everywhere that Muslims live. That's very serious. Okay? I talked about quasi-Islam and the difference between quasi-Islam and Islam. All right? And I've talked about how your community and your people and your masajid are doing quasi-Islam. You're not doing Islam. All right? Now, a big part of this that I want to explain is this. When I was talking about quasi-Islam, I talked about the priorities, okay? The difference between doing something from Islam and actually doing Islam. And that's what I'm going to get into here. The concept of doing good deeds, okay? Islam is full of good deeds. And Muslims are trying to do good deeds. It's not working, is it? You're not getting the help of Allah. You're getting more and more punishment from Allah. I want to explain why. Okay? The study of fiqh, and this is why this has been such a huge failure of the imams. Anyone who has actually studied Islam should know this. Islam has always been about priorities. And when you go through fiqh studies, as I explained in the previous session, you're answering the question, how do I obey Allah? Allah has commanded me to obey Allah and obey the Messenger. The purpose of fiqh is to answer the question, how? What do I need to do to obey Allah? For example, when Ramadan comes, so I need to know how to obey Allah in the condition of Ramadan. Ramadan has arrived. How do I do it? Okay. But the other product of fiqh, okay, is priorities. Okay? All of the a'mal, this Imam An-Nawawi rahimahullah and so many of the imams explained, every possible amal, every possible action a human being can take, in the Shafi'i school, it falls in one of 5 categories, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is either, okay, fard, mafrood, or wajib, okay, obligatory, okay? It means if you don't do it, Allah can punish you. Number 2, it is mustahab, okay, or mandub. It means it is a preferred thing to do. But missing it would not necessarily bring Allah's punishment. And then mubah. It is something that is acceptable. Either way, this like eating food, okay? Or putting spices in your food, making your food tasty. And then makruh, disliked, and then haram, forbidden. Okay, now this is a set of priorities. And as we know from the way Rasulullah ﷺ taught, he taught, the things I have commanded you, do them. The things I have forbidden for you, don't do them. Okay, and that's where you start. But now the thing is that there are other priorities. Okay, and so the concept of doing good deeds, the pious people throughout the history of Islam always wanted to know, but what is the best deed, or what is it that Allah really wants me doing right now? Okay? And this is where Muslims fail. It's like, basically the condition of Muslims is this. You have a neighborhood of 50 houses, okay? 10 of them are on fire, and the fire is spreading from one house to the next. That's the condition that the Ummah is in, okay? In very serious trouble with Allah, and Allah is sending punishment all over the place. But what does the Muslim do? The Muslim comes into the neighborhood and sees the 10 houses on fire and says, oh, well, if some people are going to come and fight the fires, it is a sunnah, it is mustahab, it is liked that we will give them some food and some refreshments. So the Muslims get busy making tea and some food. And then some other Muslims say, well, you know, it's mustahab, is preferred that we look at the best practices of firefighting. You know, so he runs down to the library and grabs a couple of firefighting books and comes back and starts reading. Okay? That's exactly how Muslims behave. When the most obvious thing is that when you see fires, you grab hoses and buckets and you start dumping water on the fire. But that's not what Muslims do. Okay? Your time is spent, yes, you're trying to do good deeds. A good deed can lead you to Jahannam. Do you understand this? In fiqh, you are not allowed to ignore things that are obligatory and then go do things that are not obligatory. And so with everything that you have been involved in now for 60 or 70 years, why I've been telling you and warning you that you ignored the mission of dawah and destroyed the lives of converts, that was the most important thing in Islam and the most beneficial thing that you could have been doing with your time and your money. And you blew it. You don't have to wonder why Allah is preparing to wipe Muslims off the earth. It's because you actually do not have Islam. And how the hell did 6 million Muslims miss this, and thousands of your so-called imams and your mawlanas and shuyukh, and they're supposed to know the deen, okay, and they're supposed to be paying attention to what's going on in the Muslim world. Well, Allah blew up an entire Muslim country this year and 1 million Muslims died, and that's just added to the one that got blown up last year and the one that got blown up 5 years before that. As a responsible imam, I should be asking myself, why are we not getting the help of Allah? And it's because you occupied yourselves in trivialities. Okay, instead of fighting the fire, you're sitting reading tafsir. Instead of fighting the fire, you're making refreshments. Instead of fighting the fire, you're out, mashallah, gonna do social justice work, and you ignored the most important thing in Islam, and it was also a social justice crime in your community. You are Arab, and your Arab brothers and sisters destroyed the lives of the human beings who came to Allah's deen. Is that not a social justice issue? And is it not more important than everything going else that, in the world that you're trying to do to please Allah and is not working? I mean, am I wrong? No, I'm pretty sure I'm right. And this is how you miss the mark. Doing good deeds. Okay, there are a million good deeds in Islam. But that the difference is knowing, what does Allah want me to do? And I've explained, Islam is not about me picking what I want to do, the good deed that I am going to do for Allah. That's not it, guys. That's not Islam. Islam requires you to know what are Allah's priorities right now. And why I explained there are three, and they are all in an emergency. Because your idiotic people, including your idiotic shuyukh, ignored it, and you missed the mark. And you spent 60 years dicking off, doing good deeds. Well, let's do some tafsir. Let's go do some social justice stuff. Let's raise some money to send all over the world, and we're going to bankrupt Islam right here. Okay? When from the beginning, the most valuable and most important thing in Allah's deen was the converts, you ignored that and fucked that up. Okay? Number two is that when you see Muslims are away from deen, it is obligatory to go out and knock their door and bring them back to Allah's deen. And instead of giving them a khutbah or a lecture or a talk or a blah 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 that doesn't do shit for them, you're supposed to do what tabligh does. Provide them an environment that actually transforms their lives. And your idiotic people rejected this also. And then the third emergency is the youth and the young Muslims. That's that's it. Leave everything else. Stop taking money out of the community, mashallah, we're going to do the good deed and send money, to 5,000 places in the world. It's not going to do anything. Your obligation is to Islam here, and it's the converts and our programs that need the cash, guys. Your obligation is here, and you've been screwing it up, okay? Forget tafsir of Quran. Forget hadith studies. Forget all this garbage. I swear by Allah, the Muslims doing this, including the Imams, will end up in Jahannam. And that is how Yahud ended up in Jahannam, ended up with the la'na of Allah, the ghadab of Allah, and the destruction of Allah. Okay? Maybe for eternity, because they did this and they did that from Islam, from their deen, and they ignored the most important things. And Rasulullah said you follow them step by step. And I've been telling you guys, you've got to wake up, and I mean, this is not rocket science, but your hawa is what is blocking you from understanding. You do not do Islam by, well, I want to do this. That's not doing Islam. Okay? And with the things that you ignored, like the converts, like the tabligh, those are Allah's priorities. And that's how you're doing what you want to do. Well, I'm going to do this good deed, I'm going to do that good deed. And you end up still with the Adhaab of Allah, Allah blowing Muslims to pieces, Allah destroying the entire Muslim world. And now Allah has brought fascism to kill you right here in America and in Europe. I told you your Islam is not working. Assalamu alaikum.